Baltimore jumping out to the big lead early on. There was a little brief moment in this game after Josh Allen had a miracle throw down the right sideline, but Baltimore stomps out the Bills 35-10. And Derrick Henry, obviously with the long run on Ravens radio, he ends up with 24 for 199, 87 of that coming with the one that he broke on the first possession.
A beatdown in back-to-back weeks for the Ravens. Just a assert your dominance, impose your will type game. They did what they wanted, and they decided they remember they are a run-first football team. Lamar played well too. He threw the ball, had some nice throws, but this was about Derrick Henry, and then it was about John Harbaugh not at the very, very end, not letting him get over 200, taking him out of the game, whatever. Should have kept him in, and it was also about me being 1.5 points shy of hitting the over for an entire quarter and not getting it, thanks in part to bad offense in the fourth and a missed field goal.
RJ Ochoa with the comparison tweet. All three Cowboy running backs through week 4, 65 carries, 235 rush yards, 3.9 a carry, 1 rushing touchdown. Derrick Henry through week 4, 80 carries, 15 more than all the Cowboy backs, 480 rushing yards compared to 235, 6 a carry compared to 3.9, and 5 rushing touchdowns. So again, my big problem, we may have to take 2 running back losses on this show with Saquon and Derrick Henry. My problem with the Derrick Henry thing was not checking.
Yeah.
Not checking to at least see how low. They said we didn't want to insult him. We didn't want to insult him by coming in with a very, very low number. And I'm like, hey, man, at least call and be like, what would you be willing to take? You at least have to have that conversation.
Yeah, and as I looked at that number last night, that 480, and we thought about the Cowboys and not even wanting to reach out, but they went ahead, they bring Zeke back. Do you think Zeke, who I think right now is at 85 yards on the season, does Zeke hit
almost 100
for the season Derrick Henry's week 4 total? I don't think Zeke gets to
199.
No. In terms of his cumulative 4-week total, I don't think Zeke gets to 480 this year.
Oh, yeah, I would say no.
He's on pace for about 400 right now.
Yeah, because
He'll have, I think he'll have a 15-yarder.
Okay, because most running backs just they'll break one for 60. He's not going to break one. There is no breaking one.
No.
They're breaking one for him, like you said,
It's
might be 15.
in.
Yeah, it may have already been broken. His breaking one.
Yeah.
He's Curtis Martin without the consistency. He's not going to break a 50-yarder. Curtis was not going to do that. That's Zeke what he is right now.
Oh, Zeke was Curtis Martin 3 years ago. He is
Curtis Martin.
Bam Morris now. Slower Bam Morris. That is who he is at this point.
So that was Derrick Henry with another Jerry Jones reminder for all the Tolos. Let's go inside the star here on DFW Sports Station 105.3 The Fan. Micah Parsons with a high ankle sprain. Ian Rappaport says he is going to be reevaluated in 7 to 10 days. He's going to miss the Pittsburgh game, quite possibly the week 6 home game against the Lions. The Cowboys, thankfully for this, have a bye in week 7. Then you have Todd Archer yesterday saying DeMarcus Lawrence is worse. He's dealing with a Liz Frank. That's what Brian brought up in the Dallas Cowboys postgame show. But the bones were not displaced. He will not require surgery. He could need 4 to 8 weeks to recover and is likely headed to injured reserve.
And that's the tough part of this is, with Detroit coming here, that's an NFC game. Pittsburgh, whatever, the AFC, if you're going to lose them, lose to the AFC. But the NFC game, and that is a run-first team. And not having 2 edges out there, when you're already you're already down Sam Williams from the start of the season in camp, it's just a very tough spot to be in. And, you want to be able to get pressure on field. You want to be able to contain him on the edge, and you want to be able to get pressure on Jared Goff. And if you don't have Micah out there and obviously not having Tank, that's a big, big loss.
Yeah, historically, I'm going to have to go
Losses.
look.
Losses, yeah.
I'm going to have to go look and see how it has looked the last year or so. But I know that in the past, it was a stark difference what the defense did production-wise between when DeMarcus Lawrence is on the field and when he was off the field. Like whether it be him missing games or just the snaps where he's off the field, whatever else. They routinely give up like 1.5 yards more per play when DeMarcus Lawrence isn't on the field. So Micah, big impact player, obviously, but I think losing both of these guys is obviously massive, but Lawrence is somebody who I think is more integral to team defense operating the way that it has consistently.
So Nealand, one of the names to replace for Tank. The other replacement for Micah?
Carl Lawson.
Cool.
Golston.
Sure.
Those are your pass rushers. Golston, Carl Lawson, Marshawn Nealand. I mean, I'll text Randy. I'll see if he's up for playing.
Gregory or
Randy
White?
Randy Gregory.
Randy White?
Just see if he's up for playing.
So Micah and Tank gone. How long are you getting a feel on Micah's absence length?
Micah probably back for San Francisco, I think. And so that would be he misses the next two. Pittsburgh and then misses Detroit, has the bye week, gets a chance to recover, and then should be back. But that's the other thing is that those ankle sprains will have a tendency, even once you're back, like especially with edge rushers where they kind of need that ankle flexibility to turn the corner, it'll linger on you for a little while.
Man, see, when Mike is out there, you have to give him attention with extra players on that offensive line or help block. When he's not out there, I mean, that opens up the entire offense.
Who was spying and how much were they doing it against Lamar? And I'm trying to apply that to Fields.
Lamar was, so it wasn't exactly a spy situation. They a lot of times had like replacements. So they had, it would be Micah to start the play. And then if they were doing a read option, then it was Micah's job to crash. And then Kendricks or whoever was the other linebacker was on his side was like the replacement. And all of a sudden they would switch responsibility. So they were doing something called gap replacement where it wasn't as much kind of sitting and spying. And so from that point, it's just, that's a little more fluid what they could do. I would guess a lot of the linebacker stuff that Micah was doing is going to become exclusively an overshown responsibility.
Jeremy Fowler with the tweet. This didn't make Cowboy fans happy either over the weekend. Source called Micah week to week on his high ankle sprain. Despite depleted pass rush, Cowboys are not considering a Hassan Reddick trade at this time due to cost per source. As the Hassan Reddick situation has been an absolute disaster with the New York Jets, so much so that people tried to start the rumor over the weekend Reddick would be willing to go back to Philadelphia. But there's Hassan Reddick not playing.
I mean, look, if Derrick Henry was too much, then Hassan Reddick's going to be too much because he's not going to step foot on the field without a new deal.
Yeah, I mean, that's things that you're going to have to trade for him, then you're going to have to pay him. And I think the Cowboys, who already have trepidation about getting anybody outside the building, I think one of the last people, no matter how desperate they are, they would want to go get is somebody who a trade was made, an agreement was made, and then he was like, no, there was no agreement made. What are you talking about? That's the exact kind of like finicky player I don't think they'd want to mess with.
Jerry Jones was on Friday with the KNC Masterpiece. Great question. When do you think it's time for the owner, GM, to step in and have a talk in terms of demanding more from the team? Owner Jerry, GM Jerry, how do you do it?
Well, if I thought being what you just outlined there and being any more demanding, now, surely after looking at this thing for 30-something years, you don't realize that I'm not hesitant to speak up. Mm-hmm. And I have a lot of visits over the years with every coach that we've ever had. And but I also understand how we built the team. I understand what we're trying to do with an individual player, a young player. And so you can get a situation, you're right, you can get a situation where you shouldn't understand. You should be unreasonable. You shouldn't see the reason why it's happening. You should say, I don't care if what the reason is, I want it changed. And let me say this, if I thought for one reason that me huffing up, me going in, me calling, having midnight meetings, if that I thought it would help us get more first downs or get a longer possession on an offensive drive, I'd be over there doing it every day.
Cowboys Giants, by the way, averaged 16.2 million viewers, an all-time high for Thursday Night Football on Prime. And Bet Online sent me the Week 5 spreads already. Steelers favored by 2 with an over-under of 41. 2-point spread, 41 over-under.
That's Steelers over-unders have been going up, ironically, because last week was a 40.5 and it was started at 36. This thing opened when it opened before the season at 1.5. So that's a 3-point swing the wrong way for the Cowboys. Now, how much of that is Pittsburgh? How much of that is Dallas? I don't know much of it. Pittsburgh always seems to have, obviously good defenses, but, they always seem to have 9 wins anyway. I think this has a lot more to do with the Cowboys.
Yeah, I right now, I think that if you're looking at where both teams are, you would have to say that Pittsburgh absolutely should be a favorite, given everything that we've seen from the Cowboys. Honestly, I would expect it to be maybe a little more than 2 with both of their pass rushers out, like that they can't do anything. Both of their, edge contained players are out. That's like the whole premise of going against a read option team or going against a running quarterback like Justin Fields, is being able to have that secure edge. And when both of your guys who hold the edge and keep that disciplined are out, I don't know how they're supposed to slow down the running game this weekend.
Yeah, generally individual non-quarterbacks don't move it, but when you have 2 out, both position players, right defensive end and left, it's a cluster injury that would generally raise it more.